Welcome back to Entrepreneur's Journey, your business podcast focusing on the minds and strategies of every successful entrepreneur. Today, we're sitting down with visionary Sebastian Gruber, the founder of Beyond Comms, a consultancy that's redefining the way companies connect with their customers through purpose. Sebastian and I had an invaluable conversation that I'm so keen to share here with you. We discussed topics around what makes a great entrepreneur, why purpose is important, how to start and grow a business, what are some of the most successful marketing strategies out there, and should you or shouldn't you buy one of those online marketing courses that are promising six figures, and much, much more. So strap yourselves in. This is going to be a good one.
So my background is really in the arts. I'm a classically trained singer and a theater director. That was my study. And then I completed an MBA because I was really curious about how do businesses work. And I think that artists, to a certain extent, need to be entrepreneurs. So I started all of that in Abu Dhabi. I was working in a museum gallery type of space, where I was working on programming and marketing and really looking at myself as a translator between what was the content of the exhibitions with very contemporary art to how do I translate to that to reach more people and to reach a wider audience so that they can benefit from it. Through that work, I was interacting with different vendors, different agencies, different people in the landscape in the UAE when it came to marketing. And so what I found was that it was a very light touch in terms of business owners who I was speaking to or agencies. What they were looking at was very short-term tactics. They were looking at the next 3 months. How do I get more leads? How do I boost my sales? How do I get more people in the door? And I needed this yesterday. And so that style of working is, one, not very sustainable, and two, it doesn't build thriving brands. It keeps you in this constant loop of having to create and readjust and redefine. And it's very confusing for teams internally as well. So when I was ready to kind of leave that position, I always knew I wanted to have my own thing. I wanted to be an entrepreneur and to bring my artistic side in that. I call it my artistic practice in a way. And yeah, so when it was time to leave, I felt like, okay, I learned enough. I know enough for now. Still don't know nearly enough, but I know enough for now to make this leap into founding my own thing. So that's where Beyond Comms was born. It was born in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, and then it moved to Dublin in Ireland, where I am now.
So what's it like to be an entrepreneur?
It's tough. I'm not going to mince it. I love the freedom. I love being able to do my own things and having my own schedule. And that's what everyone talks about, being able to just pick it up and go somewhere if you need to, or be at home and work at your own pace. But it is challenging. I mean, you have to do everything. You have to do your marketing, you have to do your sales, your client relationships, depending on how big or small your team is. And for me, the biggest lesson that I learned is you just have to make a lot of decisions and you have to make them fast. And in one way, that's fun. Once you embrace that, it's fun because in some ways, these are sometimes arbitrary decisions that you just need to make in that moment, and you need to change them. Like I remember when I first wrote my contracts for different like services agreements and things like that to make it very tangible. The lawyer was asking me all of these questions, like how long do you want this period to be? What if someone doesn't pay? What do you want the interest rate to be? And I was like, I don't know. Like, how do you make that choice? And then I realized, well, people are just making it up. You know, they put in their terms, obviously their standards and all of that. And industry, there's some regulations, but in some ways, these decisions, you just need to make them, move forward and learn as you go.
What would you say to those people who are afraid to make those decisions and they're in that step and they just don't know whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision?
I would say change that mindset from, is it a right or a wrong decision? I don't remember who said this, but they made a very interesting comparison between a choice and a decision. A choice is something that you make and that you can change. A decision is something that once you've made the choice, there comes a point when you either stick to it or not, and that's the decision. So I think choices, there are no right or wrong choices, unless it comes to an ethical perspective. So take away that mindset of, is it right or is it wrong? Just make a choice, see how it goes, And then if it's not going well, change it, adapt, adjust, be flexible. But if you make a decision, stick to it. That's the point where you then say, okay, trust your gut, trust your intuition, and really go all in on it in order to see it through.
You made a distinguishment between what an agency is and what a consultancy is, and you were very adamant on that.
Mm.
What is the difference, and why is it important?
Yeah, I mean, this is my own definition that I've learned over the last kind of 3 years as I've continued to build Beyond Comms. I started out as wanting to create an agency, just because that's what I was mostly interacting with. And then I realized, in my mind, an agency is a company that executes. They're there to support someone, like be it outsourcing a team or seconding someone into a company. They're there to create, to churn out content, to create videos, and just to produce. There can be a strategic level and lever, but often most of the agencies that I see advertise it, but they don't really do it because they just can't. They don't have that kind of capacity. So a consultancy for me, and this is the work that I do with Beyond Comms, is really looking at the strategy. It's going deeper, having conversations with the founders, the business owners, or the marketing teams around why are they doing what they're doing? What are their goals? What do they try to get out of it? Setting KPIs, how to measure things, how do you track things? And then figuring out a way to bring that into the execution. I think that's where consultancies tend to fail. They just kind of come in. This is what we think about, like the big consultants, right? They create the strategy decks, they're 50, 100 pages, and then they bring it to the client. They say, okay, here you go. That's it. We're going to go. We're done. And they leave them with it. I mean, that's something I want to change with Beyond Comms is really being there as an integral part of the communication function of a company, and not just saying, here's your strategy, bye-bye, but really saying, here's your strategy. Let's figure out how we can implement it. If you onboard an agency to do that, or if we bring in an in-house person, or if Beyond Comms can do some of the work. But that's the main level between agency and consultancy, is the level of depth and the level of engagement that I think the business can have with the client.
Your consultancy talks about purpose-driven businesses. What do you mean by that?
It's a question of, why are you in this world? Why is your business in this world? In some contexts, often in the startup world, we ask, like, what problem are you solving? But for me, that goes deeper. Like, what change or what impact are you trying to have in this world? So it's something that can center, like in the context of Beyond Comms, the way I define purpose is it has to have three categories. It's a well of inspiration. It's a thread, a very loose thread that can guide your strategic direction for your teams or for yourself as your business grows. And then it's a guiding star. So something that you work towards, you will never achieve it. It's very hard to achieve your purpose if you define it that way, but you always have something to strive for. You always have something to go for. And most businesses that I look at and most founders that I speak to think they have their purpose articulated. Like they say, oh, we're building the next most important SaaS business that is going to revolutionize how we work, or how mental health at companies is done. But that's still kind of one level too high. The purpose goes deeper. It goes into, why do you exist? So Beyond Comms, for example, we want to create and inspire impact-driven founders through the power of purpose, and create and inspire impact-driven businesses that make a better part of this world. So really something that it's between vague and specific, really looking at creating a statement that can guide your team, that can guide your strategic direction, and also that your audience can connect with. Because if your audience is just there to buy your product, great, you're going to lose them at some point. And in marketing, we all know from the data that it's much easier to retain your customers, your lifetime value for a customer. If you can extend that, it's much easier than acquiring new customers from a revenue perspective and a spending perspective. So purpose is one of the levers that a business has from a communications perspective and a strategic perspective to increase that and to bring their audience along and bring their customers along, so that they have something to connect with, to stick with that business for years to come, and not for just one interaction.
Speaking about rapidly adapting to the changes, how do you see Beyond Comms adapting and staying ahead of the curve?
Like, I believe that purpose will always be a conversation. And that's something we always need. Like, humans are hardwired for connection. And we're finding that with new brands and businesses, um, especially with Gen Z, Gen Alpha, but also millennials and all, we connect with the brands. We want to have some kind of a connection, and believe in the business. So from a fundamental perspective, I think that that conversation and that service is something everyone will always need. They might not know that they need it, but they need it, and it'll make their life better. Where Beyond Comms can really adapt to the rapid changes is in terms of tools. So yes, using AI, using automation for business processes, for discovery, engaging clients in workshops or strategy sessions that we have, and making sure that what we offer to our clients in terms of service is a seamless experience that is enriching. And the way that I describe it is allowing them for the space to go deeply into their purpose. And I think that's where we need to use the tools that are available, that come on the market, to really see what makes sense. How can we create that space? With COVID, I think the digital tools of Zoom or Google Meet and kind of virtual spaces have become much more prevalent in terms of how can we talk with each other and have meaningful conversations than before. So I think that's all really great learnings and lessons for Beyond Comms to make sure we stay on track and we can keep up with everything that's happening.
So say that I'm a business that is looking to increase their brand presence, they're looking to connect deeper with their customers. What would be some of my, I don't know, top 2, 3 things that I need to think about when doing so?
I will say it as every marketer will always say, and communicator: know your customer, get to know them. I mean, build your persona, look at who they are, why they think the way that they think. Don't just say there are middle-aged men between 40 and 60 that we want to reach and they're executives. Like, say, what kind of mindset are they in? Do they have children? Do they not have children? Are they busy? What is their psychographics? And that's one part. And on the other part, I'm going to say it again. What is the purpose, say, of this campaign specifically? Like, why do we want to reach them? How are we going to make their life better? How does it connect to our business strategy? And then putting that kind of bridge into place, which is the language and the communication. So language as your words that you use and your visuals, and your physical language. Like, if it's an event, what kind of space are you creating that people can enter into? What are they encountering? Who are they encountering? And how, and thinking about those 3 elements, I guess: audience, goal, strategy, purpose, and the language as the bridge.
So say that I'm also, let's say that I am a small company, right? And I don't know who my customer is. I have this great idea. What is one way to find out more about my customer?
Multiple ways. So there's the way to do it internally, and then there's an external way, and I like to combine them both. So one is looking at your existing customers, if you have any, try to talk to them and see why did they buy from you, what position were they in, and really learning as much as possible from them. As a founder, if it's a small business, looking at why did you start the business and who do you want to reach and why, and then building personas based off of that. Like, who do you want to engage with? If you were to dream, and like, what are the type of people that you want your product to buy, or if you're selling a service, who are the ones that you want to engage with every day? Like, who's going to bring you that energy? And then there's the external research, which is going out on Reddit or forums, Facebook groups, looking. You kind of know, like, this is the thing I want to sell. Finding competitors who might be selling something similar, looking at the comments, what kind of questions do people have, and you can use ChatGPT as well, I think, or other AI tools, ask them questions, and look at different prompts. And Spark Toro is another great tool online that looks at audience research, mostly based in the US, but also applicable across other geographies, that can give you demographic information, interests, what kind of profiles do they follow, What kind of questions do they ask? So there's many tools and many ways, but I definitely say combine the internal research with the external one and find what makes the most sense for your business. Um, don't listen to the other people who tell you you need to do X, Y, Z, and this is who your customer needs to be because this works for other competitors in your industry. Make it unique to your own process and your own idea.
Speaking about other people, I'm sure you've noticed on Instagram, YouTube, and pretty much everywhere, there's a lot of gurus out there that are selling many online courses, claiming to help people build successful digital marketing consultancies, agencies, or some sort of business model. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs in this field?
About the courses and the gurus, I think take it with a pinch of salt always. If someone makes it sound easy and seamless, they're most likely just trying to sell you whatever course they're doing. It's if there's a message that says I will get you from whatever revenue to 10K a month in 4 weeks, beware. It's not like, yes, it's possible, but most likely it's not. It's a long game. It takes hard work, and if someone has done that, they mostly had maybe 2 or 3 business beforehand where they learned and they failed and they found their methods. If there's a template and people say, if you follow these steps, you will achieve this. Again, beware, because your business is your business and your idea is your idea. So you can maybe use their ideas or use their questions to figure out for themselves, but never use their template and try to make it work for your business, because most likely it won't. It's too impersonal. So for the gurus, I would say try to take as much as possible from their ideas, but really look at who you're buying from and where you're spending your money. Took me a while to learn, but I found the right people where I'm like, okay, I like the philosophy of this person, or I like the way that this person approaches marketing, and they're very clear about what can you expect, and like they're not trying to promise you anything, or they're not trying to sell you anything in that regard. If it depends on your gut feeling, I guess, in a way, plus those technical things.
Do you have anything that's specific that's really shaped your character and your approach to business as a result?
One of the things I learned is the business has to come first. From the arts perspective, I love collaborating. I love working with other people and have different perspectives. So I brought that into my company. So when I hired my first, not first employee, but a first kind of partner that I worked with on a project, it didn't really work out. And I came to this point where I was like, oh, it's not going to work out. I'm going to have to let them go because I have to put the business first. So that was the first moment I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to make tough choices that might be hurting other people's feelings. But in the end, if I don't put my business first, I'm not going to be able to give other people opportunities as well and jobs. So that was one big thing. That was a big personal lesson of saying, okay, business is business, but you can still maintain personal relationships. You don't have to cut anything off, or and the other one, I learned at what I'm good at and what I need to outsource or where I need to grow, to really be aware of how I spend my time. Again, for me, this is rooted in the arts. I'm like a do everything person, because if chairs need to be moved, you move chairs. If you have to paint a wall for a set, you do that. And I was the same in marketing, like in my business. And I realized that I'm just, there's just some things I'm good at. There's some things I'm not really good at that take me forever. And finding ways to mitigate that, to say, okay, I'm not good at website design. Like I can do it. It just takes me hours. That's not how I need to spend my time. So how can I outsource this and find a designer? Where can I make some money available to do that? And all of those things. It's being cautious with your time and then pushing you in the right ways. Like the big thing that I learned is very nice. I'm happy communicating. I'm happy creating campaign ideas and like having conversations with people about their purpose. What I'm not so good at is business development and sales. And that's something that I just need to learn as an owner of a consultancy, is getting out there and being confident and talking to people and pitching my services, because no one else can do it for me. Not yet, at least, or not in the way that I want to, or I want to present my brand. So yeah, that's a big thing that I had to learn.
What keeps you motivated and inspired, even on the days where it's like, but you're struggling and it's challenging? What keeps you going?
My purpose. it's the if I continue to work, and if I continue to take it like one step each day towards that purpose, I know I will make a positive impact, and I will touch people's lives in that sense. I mean, I think marketing and communicating is such a crucial skill and work, because you're helping founders and business owners who have really great ideas, who have really great businesses, and help connect them with people who need their ideas, who need their services or their products to make their lives a little bit better, or change their lives. And so to play a role in that kind of connection and that engagement, such a gratifying thing. Even with all the technical stuff of copywriting and all of that other things, like that's in the end what we're doing. We're creating human connection, or connection between a business and another person.
So what is one advice you would give to your younger self?
Make choices and make more choices. Like, just that's what in the end what it's all about, is don't think about something for too long. Don't try to have it be too perfect. Just make a choice, try it out. You can always change it. No one is telling you that you can't. No one is holding you down and saying, you made this choice, you need to stick to it. So yeah, just change it, but act. Don't just stay. Don't think too much. It's happy, it's a good place, but you need to move forward.
Or what's the future look like for Beyond Comms?
Yeah, so for Beyond Comms, I'm working on a defining your business purpose program, essentially, that I'm really excited about. So it's a larger, longer kind of cohort or one-on-one based engagement across 6 weeks to help business owners define their purpose and go really, really deep into some of those questions, so that they come out with their ideal audiences, they come out with a purpose statement, they come out with an idea of how to position themselves in the market to really create the foundations for what some people would call their brand strategy or their business strategy in that sense. So I'm working hard on that, and I'm really excited to roll that out and bring that into conversations and iterate it. But yeah, happy things, and I think a lot of growth for Beyond Comms in the next couple of months.
So thank you so much for being here today. Yeah, the insights have been amazing. I've definitely learned a couple of things. I got reminded by other things as well. And it was great having you here. So thank you so much. And hopefully your entrepreneurial journey will help inspire and educate other entrepreneurs alike.
Thank you so much, Seth. It was a pleasure.